Hi everyone, Jonathan J. Reinhardt here from Wargaming Recon on behalf of Let's Roll 2020, the virtual gaming convention here happening Saturday, May 16, 2020. We are halfway through the day of games and events and stuff. This began at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, ends at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this session here, this event, I'm going to be chatting with Brianna Richardson, who is the owner and head honcho of the Fabric Treasury. So the Fabric Treasury is a cool place where you can go online. You can buy all sorts of really neat things like dice bags and other stuff. And we're also going to be doing a thing here. We've been talking throughout the day about the fact that here at Let's Roll, we are raising money for Extra Life, which is a charity that helps kids get medical care when their families and they cannot afford it. So Extra Life will then pay for that medical care, and the money we're raising is going to help Boston Children's Hospital provide that care. So if you've made a donation to our fundraiser and it's been at least $10, you need to make sure you show proof of that. Send an email to letsrollcon@gmail.com. If you've done that, you will have a chance to win a cool prize in this session. Don't worry, we will announce the winners and everyone on the website and elsewhere so people can find out what's going on. If you're watching live, please leave a comment to let us know that you're here watching. And also, you can feel free to give comments and questions and things like that. And I will convey those to Brianna. At this point, we're just waiting for her to sign in. And until then, I do just want to highlight some of the other stuff that's happening here today. So after this ends at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Petra Bender of Things from the Basement is going to be talking with Timothy Colonna from Trilaterum Games. Going to be talking about all things Trilaterum, the sci-fi game, the cool stuff that's happening over there. Then at 7 p.m., you can watch a live stream role-playing game. James Carpio is going to be showing off his game that he's running with people, and it is called the Osiris Agenda. And the blurb is the De Young Museum in San Francisco is preparing to receive the most prominent female pharaoh, Hatshepsut, through its doors for a limited engagement. The Egyptian government has taken all precautions to ensure that the exhibit goes as planned. What was not planned for is the illegal bioweapon shipment that is being smuggled in the pharaoh's sarcophagus. So this role-play game is using a combination of Lucky 13 and Top Secret's New World Order, which is a spy game that you can play, put out by TSR. James worked on the new edition as a game designer and stuff. And so that is really cool. And that is a thing that you can see. And that ends our live streams for the day. But there are games still happening. So people might want to get into some games. I believe all or many of them are going to be sold out. But I can tell you what some of the other games are that are coming up so that you can check that out of it. And take one moment. I'm sorry, everyone. One moment while I pull that up. It's one of the things that happens with live streams where you just have to get the stuff up, and it does take an extra minute for that. So some of you might be having your dinners, and this is something that you can watch while you have dinner. So we have happening next. And also at 6 o'clock, this is a game that maybe you signed up for. It's a Check Your Six game being run by Rob Rubenhorst, set in World War II. It's called Black Sheep, being run on Roll20 and Discord. And there are 2 seats left for the 8 p.m. game of Cuba Death, which I am playing in. It's being GM by Mike Kafis, and it is a geek trivia game. So it has a little bit of elements of role-playing game where you get a character card that represents who you are, and that character card has a special ability you get to use one time per game. But basically, it's just knowing some cool trivia things about different stuff, whether it's science or it might be TV shows or books or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And it is just really cool, a lot of fun. So if you like a good laugh and you want to have a blast, then that is something to go ahead and do and participate in. And like I said, I'll be playing in it. Starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is just really good. So looking forward to that. And then also, we have one other game happening at 8 p.m. It is Black Seas Pirate Encounter. There's 2 seats left for that, being run by Adam Carrier on Skype. It's using the Black Seas rules by Warlord Games, which is Age of Sail. So that's pretty awesome as well. And I think people are going to have a blast with that. So very neat as that is a thing. And while you are here, there are special deals happening in our vendor hall. So it's a virtual vendor room that you can get at on our website. So if you are signed up for the convention, I hope you are, and if not, go to letsrollcon.com, sign up. It's free. You can get into the marketplace, and at that marketplace, you can go ahead and shop at a bunch of places. So a lot of them have deals they're doing. 3D Nation selling 3D printable files and printed models for tabletop gaming, 10 to 50% off through July 4th. HC's Edizioni, which I am sure I am butchering, is a 10% discount on your total purchase. You got to use code ROLLING10, and part of the proceeds are going to be donated to Extra Life. Apocalypse Miniatures is doing free postage on orders of over 80 British pounds for shipping in the UK. Application of Force is giving a free 30-day trial, which can be stacked with their quarantine promo as well. And then you can also head on over to Barrage Miniatures, gets 15% discount for today, the 16th of May, 2020, and May 17, 2020. So you can go ahead and get some cool deals that you get to use code the number 1617 May. That's 1617 May. Brigade Games is doing 20% off. 10% off. $25 minimum order for any items that aren't already on sale, and you use code Let's Roll 20. You get 1 coupon per order. Dish Dash Games, which is known for skirmish, modern combat rules, and minis, doing 10% off discount as well. And then we have a couple other vendors to do for you. And unfortunately, just kind of an update here. It looks like Brianna is not making it, and I am sorry to say, I don't quite know what's going on. I'm going to presume some sort of technical difficulties on her end, and I am sorry for that. So we are changing things slightly, but that's what happens when you're live and at a convention, and also when you do things for the first time. So if she's able to get in and come, then we will, of course, slide her in. But I do apologize for the disruption there. Fighting Hedgehog is the maker of Clash of Spears. So that's a new ancient skirmish game. They're doing free shipping on all orders during the convention, and they're going to donate part of the proceeds to Extra Life. Fights On Miniatures, which does those cool accessories and enhancements for your games, for aerial combat games, doing a 19% discount for all items from May 15 to the 17th. So that is awesome. And then you can also go on and head on over to MSD Games, where you can get cool micro armor stuff and just a variety of other things that they're doing a 19% discount. You use code COVID-19. Pulp Alley does some really thrilling tabletop miniatures. You get 10% off with code LOVEPULP, all caps. Fabric Treasury is doing free standard shipping anywhere in the US for all orders made today. Use code Let's Roll 2020. The Phalanx Consortium is doing free domestic shipping on all orders of 35 and more, donating 10% of their sales between now and end of the month to Pets for Vets. Things in the Basement does 20% off laser kits. Use code Let's Roll. Also have to mention Foreground Games has said they're doing 20% off. And now that I think of it, I don't quite know if you need a code for that or not. So I do apologize. Trilateral Miniatures is doing 10% off discount on all products and free shipping for U.S. customers. Use code NOSHOW at checkout. Here at Wargaming Recon, you can buy our t-shirt, so we have that on there as well. We Wolf Miniatures is doing a 20% discount on all orders over $50 for today only. Use code LROLL20, and they will be making a donation to a charity of their choice. And once again, I am. Oh, and I'm sorry to say, we have live here. Timothy Colonna of Trilateral Games says that they're going to be donating to Feeding America as their charity, which is really important right now as people are dealing with the pandemic and don't have enough to eat and are battling all sorts of stuff. And so that is pretty awesome. And then I am joined once again as we transition here live, and thank everyone for their flexibility with this, by Jorg Benger of Things in the Basement. Jorg, thank you for joining again and coming in as a pinch hitter last minute. How are you?
You're welcome. I'm good, still.
That is good. I feel like I'm running a marathon.
Yes, it is. It is an exhausting day somehow, but it's fun, and that's more important.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And I mean, I've done stuff similar to this before for Extra Life, actually, where I've gamed for 24 hours. I've streamed for 12 plus hours. It's been a while, though, and not with 2 kids, with one kid. And so sitting here, it doesn't sound like much, right? I'm sitting here and I'm talking to people, doing interesting stuff. But sitting here for like 6 hours it's interesting, because even when I'm at work, like I get up. And I get up a lot, and I go and do stuff. And I mean, you get to work from home. You're probably not sitting anywhere straight for like a full day, right? You get up, you do something,
Right.
And it's an interesting and I don't mean to complain, because it's unusual for me, but it's an interesting dynamic. But I know that you're here not to talk about that, because that's boring. You're going to talk about kits, right? From Things from the Basement.
Yes.
So how about, because this could be fun, how about I do a screen share, which is this awesome thing that I can do here on StreamYard, and show people your website, because you have all sorts of goodies here on thingsfromthebasement.com. And this will also give you a chance to be prepared about whatever kits you'd like to discuss. But you have like everything here. Like there's, I don't know why I'm scrolling down there. You have so many different types of things and scales and just really cool stuff that people can get. So, when did you start selling merchandise?
It's honestly, I'm not exactly sure if there's something in already. We're working on that. There will be something, but it's probably I think it's just the let's say the shop button for merchandise, but there's no merchandise yet. But there will be something.
Okay,
coming.
That's good. I got really, so I told you the other day privately, we were having like a pre-meeting for the convention, how I basically live on your website, that I'm there more than my own email. And then I'm there all the time, because you have so much good stuff. And you have a lot of different categories. So you do a lot of laser cut kits, and then you also sell Star Seas Heroes, and you sell Gamer's Grass and other stuff. But you have 2 main categories of kits. You have the Buildings on a Budget, which is where I live, right. And then you also have the Master Builder series, and these are super amazing. I am both frightened by them, and also I really, 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 really want to do one of these. Partly because I guess I like to fail at life, but what kind of made you think about separating out how you do stuff, so that you have your Master Builder stuff and then you have your whole other line of things?
So this, I mean, it's the right day to talk about this, because the Master Builder series started after visiting or being a vendor at Hussar for the first time, and that was back in 2016. So towards the end of the show on a Sunday, late morning, I guess, I don't remember exactly, Tony Rieger, who you probably know from Iron Hammer Studio, and who is running games at the Hussar convention because he's living in Portland in Maine. And he asked me if for the next Hussar, so that would have been Hussar 2017, I would be interested in working together with him on something for his Stalingrad games, because he is a big fan is probably not the right word. He's an expert on Stalingrad and everything Stalingrad related, so that's his favorite topic to game. As far as I know, mostly he's playing it bolt action as a rule set, but Stalingrad is his topic. So I was overwhelmed by my first show ever as a vendor. I said, yes, I will. And that was about it for me, because I didn't ask, what do you have in mind, or what will it be? I don't know. So he said, okay, I will get back to you when I know what I'm looking for, what we should do. So I said, sure, you can reach me. That's fine. So I don't know, towards the end of summer, early fall, he contacted me then and said he would need this and that. So this was Pavlov's house, and that was the train station. So I said, oops, what have I gotten myself into here? Because as you might expect, Pavlov's house is like a big apartment block, multiple story, just a big piece of real estate. And of course, the train station isn't small either. So you have some pictures there of the finished kit, or let's say the built and just assembled kit. And then there are, I think, a few pictures of what Tony did with the prototype, because I gave it to him there it is, to make it a masterpiece. And that was why for this specific buildings, I decided, okay, let's call it different, because it's more than just a regular kit. It's huge. It's a lot of work. It's of course more expensive because it's so much material and so much cutting time in one kit. So we decided to call it the Master Series. And the kit itself needs some work, because it's just MDF that you get with kits and some chipboard and cardboard and stuff like that. But if you really, really want to make it stay out and make it a masterpiece, I know you've talked about eye catchers on gaming tables just the other hour with David Hill. And by chance, I have in my shelf a picture of there it is, you have the same picture, of the train station with Tony and me. So yeah, if you have a look at it, at the size of it, you see it's, I don't know, it was about 5 feet by maybe 3 or 2.5. I'm not sure. More like 3, I guess. So it's a huge piece, and we got it all done for Hussar 2017, and they had at least 3, I think even 4 tables, because they had all the tables from the year before. There was a huge corner in the big gaming room with just Stalingrad themed bolt action tables, and they were busy the whole weekend from Friday until Sunday. Bolt action in Stalingrad.
It is absolutely gorgeous. And one thing that I think may not come through just looking in the pictures, and so I'm actually going to go to a different section of your website to show people this, are the instructions for it. Because I look at them, I thought, oh, maybe I'll save up my pennies and I'll get like a section of Pavlov's house, because I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but like I have a strong desire to do one of these things because I think I want to fail. But I was like, let's just go and look, and it is. I'm not pulling up your instructions because I'm being crazy, I guess. But the instructions are just like the fact of how in depth they have to be. Let's see if I can pull this open and show people, because I think the instructions really kind of drive home the point about how in depth they are, but also that it's a cool challenge for people as well. So it's not just like, oh look, here you go. So here's the instructions here for the train station.
Yes, and that is, if you compare it, maybe it's difficult now because maybe I can show the other picture, because that's what you can get on the website is a smaller, let's say, compact version of the train station, as it is missing the 2 extensions on the left and right, which create this kind of courtyard area. So the kit itself is just the backside, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it's just a huge terrain piece that almost nobody has the space to put on a table. So you could play a game without leaving the train station, of course, because it's big enough.
You really could. But like the instruction, your instructions are so good because they show step by step everything, so you can really see all the cool pictures for how it's done and neat tricks and tips and things to look at. And I mean, like I looked at this and I thought, oh my goodness, yeah, this is going to be a challenge. But like, what a fun challenge this would be! This is something that could take someone
Yes.
a long time to do, but it would be brilliant. And you really have such great ways for construction that you've designed, and not just for these, but also for like all your other kits that you do as well. And you have a ton. I know we just kind of homed in right here on the Master Builder because I was feeling like ooh shiny, but you have your more extensive line is what you call buildings on a budget.
Right.
And you have, and I'm just looking here and counting. Let's see, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You have 11 different main categories.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
I think it sounds right. Yes, of course. It started all with the Legend of Riverfield, which was or is kind of a fantasy setting. Maybe you could use it for kind of medieval buildings as well, but it has a bit of a fantasy touch. That was the first range I created because I thought, okay, I've never done laser designing and laser cutting before. It was like jumping in the water and see if you can swim. So I decided let's go with something that's not necessarily exactly historical or a replica of something that is that you can find somewhere in Europe or in the US or wherever. So I decided to start with fantasy, and I guess it was the right call because from then on I could develop my skills and learn stuff while doing it, and I'm doing things different than I did 4 or 5 years before. Of course, it's a learning process, and you look what do other companies do? How do they do it? Do you like their approach? Do you have your own approach? It's like almost everything in life. You develop or you grow with your task, right?
You do. You really do. And I know you said this is the first set you did, but like I've looked at it numerous times, and there are pieces here that I think are absolutely gorgeous. That they really stand up. So like the boat builder's shed, I think it's a great little piece where you have that boat that's being built, and
Mm-hmm.
it, you convey a lot here, and I think it's pretty incredible that considering these are like the first lines of things that you did with a laser to sell, that they're really amazing. And like those, like your houses and stuff are even better. You made furniture for the inn, which
Yes.
I love that. And earlier today we were talking about your Gettysburg stuff, and when I first opened the stuff that you sent to me for Gettysburg, and I was looking at it, I thought these are really cool, but I want furniture inside. and wondering the likelihood of you ever making more furniture. And I think it's nil is probably what it is. But just I'd love to see some things from the basement furniture in these cool Gettysburg buildings, or some of the like the
Right.
Russian houses that you do. You have all these lines that are really cool that you've come up with.
Furniture is it's really, again, we're talking about size and or scale or whatever. So it's a lot of thin and small and tiny pieces. So not everyone is happy about that probably. And on the other hand, not everybody thinks he needs furniture inside his buildings. So I might do it, I might not do it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
I know
mean,
I did a few. What did I do? I did the furniture for the inn that you just talked about, and then I also did some interior for the Russian Orthodox Church,
yep.
and then learned that that was wrong because Orthodox Church don't have pews. So, but they're in the kit anyways. You can use it for whatever you want, or maybe it's a converted Orthodox Church. I don't know. So it's still there, and it's in the kit included. So I didn't take it out just because it's not correct, what I usually probably would do. But there's space on the sheet of MDF, so why not use it?
Well, I mean, like you said, and that church is no longer probably Orthodox anything anymore
Right.
over there. So for the Church of Communism, maybe they want pews. I don't know. It depends on their mood. I'm not really sure. But I think a lot of times people buy new kits not necessarily for what you design them as, but for something else. So to kind of look at another of your early uh,
Hmm.
sets, if you don't mind, and I can throw it up on the screen as well. Is you're inspired by Sleepy Hollow, the movie line, and I'm guessing this is an earlier set. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's about my mid things from the basement career timeline. So about two years, or maybe 3 years. Yeah, it's rather from the beginning. It's
Okay.
about 3 years, or I would guess.
Just because looking at it aesthetically, it reminds me a lot of the Riverfield stuff, which
Yes.
I know you've said before is the first one that you've done, and so that's why I kind of figured maybe it was like a progression, moving newer. So one of the people who writes reviews for me here at Wargaming Recon um, loves this, but he's not using it for Sleepy Hollow or even anything like that. He's turning them into Wild West buildings.
Yes.
And I think that's fairly common that people are taking things like this and using it for whatever. The covered bridge I'm working on here, and I'm going to be using it for not American Revolution stuff, or just colonial America because I don't know, it feels quintessential New England to me, and it's gorgeous.
And I think there's nothing wrong with using buildings for different settings than they're probably designed for. If I mean, it's up to you. If you like the style of the building and say it's good enough for this or that period and that period, that's totally fine. And a lot of buildings, I think, are pretty versatile. I just have to think about what could I talk about. I don't really have. Yeah, maybe the what I call the Mediterranean village.
That's
So
actually one I was thinking
so
of.
it's probably Italy, it could be Spain, it could be Greece, but it could also be somewhere in let's say the Spanish colonies in Mexico or in South America or wherever they were. So it's that style of building that they took from Europe and just brought it the style of buildings reproduced it in their new home. So that's similar to the buildings that you see in New England. I mean, they didn't just invent the style of houses from scratch again. They just did what they used to do.
Yeah, they do what they know.
So, and I think there are buildings that are easily usable for different settings or time periods. The Russian village, for example, I think you can use it for the Napoleonics as well as for Second World War. Even when the Swedes in the 18th century invaded Russia, the buildings haven't changed. These are easy, simple wooden structures, most of them. There's no big change.
No.
They are still around. If you go to rural areas, you will still find buildings in that style.
When when I looked for the first time, because I missed the Kickstarter for that set, and when I looked when it was on your website for the first time, I looked at the blacksmith shop and tool shed. And one thing about it, for me, and I know this is intended to be a historical piece, but it reminded me of things that I had seen in World of Warcraft, where there were blacksmiths working on stuff, a very medieval kind of feel. And so I thought, like, yeah, you could use this for other things, and maybe not the whole set, but you pick what you like, and you can
Right.
go and you can do whatever. And uh, I don't know how common it is for people to take an MDF kit and then modify it uh by removing things or changing it in so much as like they might with other stuff, but like I think you could with this, you could do some conversion work if one wanted. Not something I would do because I would just find another kit, or I would ask you to make a new kit as I've done in the past. But I think you can find ways to kind of just make it your own, and a lot can be accomplished with the paint, right? You talked earlier about using spray paint and craft paint, and I think you can do pretty amazing things with that.
Right. So yes, you're absolutely right. You can modify kits. Why not? You do kit bashing with plastic scale model kits. Why not with MDF kits? I assume that most of the people who buy kits build them as they are, which is totally fine. But if you want to modify it, go ahead. Do some battle damage. You know how to do that, Jonathan, right?
I told you should just offer my service to people
Yes.
and see how many would take. I bet someone would.
Yes. And as I said, I think if you paint something in a different color, let's just because they are still sitting right in front of me. the simple chicken house and hog pen, it's white, but why not paint it in a natural wood color? It would give it a totally different appearance, but I guess it would still be right. There's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
It might be different if you decide to turn it blue, to paint it blue or green. That might be a bit strange, but why not use a natural look of wood, weathered wood, whatever. So I guess that would work perfectly. And there's nothing that doesn't say, this could also be in somewhere in Normandy or in, I don't know, somewhere in rural Germany, in Bavaria, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, kids can be used for different periods and settings that they were initially intended for, I guess.
Many people who know anything about me may know that I'm a huge fan of Henry Hyde, and for those who don't know, he's a author of war games, former magazine editor. He does his Battle Chat podcast. He's written the Wargaming Compendium, which I think is the best book to come to wargaming in recent memory, and he's been a strong proponent of what he refers to as imaginations or make-believe semi-historical entities where you kind of do your own take on it. And so I think you could really do that with any of your kits. So you can say, I want a feudal Japanese set, because I was talking with David Hill a little bit ago. And maybe your world, I feel like Bob Ross right now, in your world, the Happy Trees, you could change whatever color you want. Or maybe this is what the buildings look like in a more modern setting in that world, because they really liked it. And this is, I don't know, fit the design aesthetic. So you can just do all sorts of really cool stuff like that. And one of the things that I like that you offer, and I'm guessing people pass by it a lot, and I might be wrong, so please correct me. But on your website, you have a section you call parts for your DIY projects. And you have everything from factory windows and doors to wagon wheels. And that is awesome.
Yeah, that was a line that I started creating. I haven't really grown it because, I mean, the options are endless, right? You could do so many different kinds of doors, windows, whatever. And that is a line that I started after I've had repeated requests by customers who are scratch building stuff, but the neat little things like windows or doors, which usually are right angles, tiny cutouts, whatever, which is hard to do when you try to scratch build it. So I decided, yes, I can offer some stuff, and in fact, what you see on the website is just a suggestion what it could be. If you say I need more like a bigger window, or I need a window with two shutters, and the window needs to be a specific size, that's no problem at all. You can just email me. There's an email or contact button on the website. Tell me what you need, and I could draw something for you, and then you decide if you like it or not, and I will of course give you a price for that, and we can start a discussion from there. So it's hard otherwise to do it, because I can just make some things and offer them. It's the same with bases, more or less. I sell a lot of bases online, and there are so many different sizes or whatever shapes available. If there's anything you cannot find, just email me, and I will usually get back to you and can make you an offer for what you have in mind.
Well, I know I did that because I asked you to make some sort of, I think I refer to it as a scenic base. And so you came up with the irregular bases, which I love. And I've been telling people left and right ever since then to buy those and buy knock trees from the Wargaming Company and put them together, and you can make mini forests. And your bases are just fantastic. The perfect thickness and durability, and you can do all sorts of stuff. The design's very natural and aesthetically pleasing. Another thing you do that I love, and one of these days I'm just gonna buy a bunch of them because I love the idea of it, is you sell bricks. A penny a brick.
Yes.
I kid you not, I want to buy like 500,000 bricks from you. Just because
you could do that theoretically.
So the thing that I think you really do, I think you do a lot of things well, but the thing I think you do exceptionally well, and it's a thing that I think gets overlooked by just about everyone else out there, and it is small, everyday things. So whether it's a brick, whether it's a well for a feudal Japanese thing, it's those smaller things, boxes and stuff, scatter terrain that really adds a lot of
Yes.
flavor. And most people out there aren't doing it, or if they are, I'm going to be controversial and say they're not doing it as well as you. And it's really nice that you offer that. So for me, like I like seeing like the big things like your big barn that you have coming out for Gettysburg because it looks cool. But really, what really excites me is when you show the doghouse, or when if you don't mind, there's some comments in the chat room um, for the live stream. We have Timothy Colonna, and this actually ties into what I was thinking. Says, where did the pumps we worked on end up? Which line? The pumps that you showed.
Where is it again?
That is, I mean,
So
it's beautiful.
to Timothy, they will be part of the Farms of Gettysburg Kickstarter. So there are two farms or two kits in which will have these pumps included. And as he's probably listening now, again, thank you very much for your excellent printing service. The pieces look gorgeous. The quality is top notch. It's resin 3D printed. They are easy to paint. You do not need to clean them. Every pump has a little tag, so it fits into the MDF base because all of them have a wooden MDF base. After what I've seen on the battlefield in Gettysburg, so these are exactly how I wanted them to be. That is a perfect addition to my line, and I will probably do that a bit more often in the future because sometimes you have some tiny detail that the laser cutting technology just cannot do because it doesn't look right. And 3D printing is something which can achieve a lot, and especially these smaller detail pieces. I would probably do that more often in the future.
I could see something like that. Like if you were doing the Russian Village Kickstarter now, I could see you doing a fair bit of stuff like that to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, these palms again, they could be everywhere, right? They could be in Europe, they could be in the US, they could be somewhere in, I don't know, wherever the Western civilizations settled down, somewhere in colonies in Africa maybe, or in Australia or wherever. So a pump is a pump, and it's a very typical design with many variants, so you could use it almost everywhere.
And we have some other comments, if that's okay, in the chat, if I may share.
Sure.
So we have Rob saying favorite kits are things from the basement, hands down. And I find that a lot from people. People love your stuff. And then we have Michael saying, if I may, he says, once I get the figures painted, I am planning on buying and using the Russian buildings for Yugoslavia World War II for a Pulp Alley game series based on the movie Force 10 from Navarone. Now that's exciting.
Yeah. See, it obviously works in that setting as well then.
And then because we were talking about customizing stuff and converting things, Rob chimes in and says, I modify my MDF kits almost every time.
I think that's a great idea because it's relatively easy to do. You can probably use just a sharp cutting knife or a fine saw and do some alterations, add some additional stuff. For example, you have windows like here. Use some cardboard I'm in this direction, sorry. Use some cardboard to add shutters, for example. I mean, that's the wrong building for that, of course, but still, it just gives you an idea what you can do. Or add shingles. You can easily scratch build shingles if you don't like the way it's done, because here it's a bit of a flat surface which has just engravings of individual shingles. If you want a more 3D look, you could easily achieve that. And the lines that are engraved help you by aligning your hand-cut shingles, of course.
I know people who
And
make their
that
own shingles.
all together, yes, and all that helps you improve or pimp your regular MDF building. It's easy to do. It's just a bit of work, and you need some time and fun in doing it, of course.
What are some other of your kits that you might want to highlight? Any lines you're going to revamp
I
or you
mean,
add to, or
yes, I mean, we talked about the Riverfield line. I'm thinking about giving it a not a complete rehaul, but looking at it again and doing some details different, just to make them more like I do my kits today. Because of course all the lines, once they are out, it doesn't mean there's never any addition to a line. So I might just go back and add another building or to the Russian village or to the Riverfield line, and then I think it would be great to bring everything, let's say, up to date, give it an upgrade. It's a bit not cost, it's time intensive because I have to redo it, rebuild it, check it out. Does it work? Does it not work? So that's time that I cannot use to design something new. So I might do it occasionally or building after building whenever I have the time or the feel I should do it again. But I'm definitely thinking about that. And I also changed some of my materials since I started 5 years ago. So that would make it easier for me as well than to use all the same material for all my kits and not go back to different materials for different kind of buildings just because they are a bit older.
now your default is 28 mil for stuff, but then you also offer some things in 15 and 20 mil. Do you have any inclinations about offering other scales as well?
I will, yeah, you should never say never, I know, but I will say I will never add another scale because 3 is just maybe one scale too much already.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Because it's just not, yeah, it's not just scaling everything down, because you have to go through every kit that you downscale. You have to redraw the connections because the material thickness is different. So you have to rework the connections. You have to see which detail is too fiddly, too small, too delicate, so that it doesn't work. So you have to simplify it. And 3 scales is already a lot of work for just me. So I don't think I will tackle another scale.
I've honestly been surprised that you have a 20 mil scale at all. Is it popular?
Yeah,
Okay, that answers
I
the
was
question.
asked about 2 years. Yes, it answers it. I was asked about 2 years ago on conventions mainly if I could do it, and then I said, okay, I will give it a try. I was looking to get the right material because again I needed a different thickness, something thinner than 3 millimeter, but a bit more than just the 1.6 that I usually use, because otherwise it would be too delicate. I found that. I converted the Russian Village and the Master Builder series, and now I'm being honest. I sold a few, and that was about it. So it's not really worth the effort. So I'm concentrating mainly on, of course, 28 millimeter, because that's the scale I like most. It allows me to bring out a lot of detail. It's a nice scale to try something and then see if it works. And it's, for me, it's relatively easy to downscale to 15 mil. So these are the 2 main scales that I will be featuring. So the 20 mil, it's there for a few buildings, but I'm not too, let's say, enthusiastic to do it for the whole range.
Well, I'm trying. I can't even think of what games that people would want 20 mil terrain for, and there must be something, because that's what 1/72nd scale, right? And
Yes, I mean there are a lot of World War II players, I would assume, because that's where
oh,
all the plastic model kits are available. A lot of plastic figures in that scale are available. So I think World War II would probably be very popular, but also Napoleonics, because all the figures are available in the old figures like Airfix and what is it, head and S key and stuff,
Zvezda, yeah.
the bendy plastic. And it's I mean, if it looks impressive if you have it on a table in a smaller scale, of course.
No, okay, I guess I take it back. It's just I don't like I see 20 mil on your site, and every time I look at it because I forget it's there, I think, well, who would want 20 mil? Why would they want that? Like 15 mil makes sense to me. 28, of course, makes sense to me. I could maybe
Yeah.
see a demand for like 10-ish.
Mhm.
But like you don't really do ancients or like massed battle stuff like that. But like for any
Right.
like that kind of like medieval sort of stuff or ancients or Napoleonics, I could see for like 10, for that being like a really big thing. But 20 just always kind of strikes me as odd when I see it on your site, and I'm like, wow, that's
Yes,
interesting.
and as I said, it's not my best-selling scale, so it's there for those who want it, and I do more or less custom cut it if an order comes in because it's not that popular, so it doesn't make sense to have it sitting in the shelf. But it's still available as long as it's on the website. It is available.
So once before I asked you, when you were on my show, what one of your most popular kits were, one of your most popular ones that people say they like or that they use or that they buy, and you surprised me with what you said. And so I'm going to ask you now because I'm curious if it's changed. What's one of your best-selling kits or most popular kits right now?
Now I should have taken notes of what I told you before. I don't remember what I told you before. What when I look at my ranges, so I wouldn't necessarily point out a specific kit, but more like a range.
Okay,
And even then it's difficult.
because I remember what kit you
Right
said.
now, very popular is the. Okay, so right now, very popular still is the feudal Japan range, because I think Test of Honor is still a hip game at the moment. It's very popular. And on the other hand, when I look at the Kickstarters I did, then I would have to say that the Mediterranean Village was the most successful, because as we spoke about before, it's usable for a lot of areas in Europe or even in the New World in America. So it is a very popular set, the Mediterranean Village. And we talked about Foreground a bit earlier. It is available via Foreground as well, and it is a slight variation of it is or will soon be available for the Blood and Plunder game by Firelock Games. So they are using that design as well. Produced by Foreground in pre-colored, but it's more or less my buildings. We did some slight changes because they wanted them, and that's totally fine because they have their own ideas and how it should look like, but it's more or less the Mediterranean village that you see on my website. So I would say from a global point of view, the Mediterranean is my most successful range.
So way back, and this predates the Mediterranean Kickstarter and all of that. Way
Yes.
back, you said one of, and I'm not saying the most, but one of the most popular individual kits for you
Okay.
is the keelboat.
Yes, that's true. That's right. I sold that. That is an interesting story, in fact.
Because it
I
surprised me
was
when you said it,
was
so it stuck with me.
Yes, I am. So it's I was addressed by a customer who emailed me and said he had this idea of a game. No, that was a movie, a US movie, Johnny Crockett.
Oh, Davy
And
Crockett.
there's some Davy Crockett, right? Davy Crockett. And there in this movie there must be some kind of a keelboat race or something like that,
Yeah, this has
or
a
a boat
connection
race
to
at least,
Disney.
some kind of. Yes, so I wasn't familiar at all. So he sent me some pictures, and I said, okay, I think I can do something like that. And I did that for him, and he liked it a lot, and he ordered a bunch of them because he was then running a game that he had in mind on conventions. So, and after that, I thought, okay, that was a one-timer because it's very specific kind of boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's pretty popular still. I sell it occasionally, so yeah.
It amazes. I mean, it's a nice kit. It looks nice. I've never not seen it in person other than at your vendor booth. It's not what I would have ever expected you to have said.
Right. No, it's as I said, it's a very specific kind of boat. It's like a, I don't know, houseboat. Is that a word in English? It's like a boat where you live on,
Mhm.
but you can use it for traveling as well. So like a caravan on water.
Yes. Wow. So we have some more comments coming in, if I may share them quickly. So we have
Okay.
Rob saying desert buildings and terrain are his favorite things in the basement kits. He's planning on building a North Africa table. We have Rob here saying, Rob W saying howdy, who's one of our game masters today at Let's Roll. And then we also have the Mediterranean kit is absolutely stunning, and it's someone's next project for June. Very cool.
That is in the foreseeable future. That is great. Good to hear.
Uh, I love your Mediterranean village, but it also so I made a mistake, and a really good mistake. So when I was a backer for your Kickstarter, and I backed for the church, and I said, "Oh, this church is so special and it's really iconic. I'm not going to put it together or do anything. I want to hire Iron Hammer Studios to do it, so it'll be look the best possible." And so it came, and it's glorious and it's wonderful, but it is too darn good. So good, in fact, that I cannot build any of the stuff because if I build it, Iron Hammer doesn't really want to paint them for me. So they want to do it where they build it. And I want it all to match because the church is just so beautiful. And I mean, anyone could do whatever they like, but it's just I guess it wouldn't have to be perfect, but the stucco effect is just really amazing. And I guess maybe this is a one way that people might enjoy going to foreground because it is painted already. It's made that way so you can kind of have that nice texture effect already on there. And they use that new color powder stuff that they've designed.
Right. Yes, they have this, they call it render powder. I think it comes in more or less the same colors as the kits are, and some of the newer kits already have it. And if I remember correctly, there we are again, the Mediterranean village kits that Foreground produces, they have this render powder included. So I don't know who saw, or maybe someone saw the video we did very early in the morning at 10 a.m.
Maybe.
Towards the end of the broadcast, you could see the church because Ben had it or sitting on his lap, and it had it. Of course, it comes in color because it's a foreground kit, and it had this render powder on the walls, and it really, really looks great. And they also put it on the roof, so the roof gets this worn, dusty look. It looks really great, and I think that takes the let's say the regular MDF kit just to another level because it adds even more detail on the especially on the outside. You have more like a structure on it because you can work with it. I haven't seen it myself. I haven't used it myself. Everything gets a bit delayed due to the pandemic, but I'm pretty sure at one point in time I will have a kit in my hand and will be able to try the render powder myself. But I think it's a great idea to individualize your kit without buying some third market product because it's just in the box already. And as I have been told, they will also sell the render powder separately once they ramp up their production again and they're back from lockdown. So that is a nice add-on to all MDF kits. And of course, you can use it for all the buildings you already have. You can just apply it and use it.
Yeah, I have one of them here actually next to me, and I've held off on doing it because it has that render powder, and it kind of scares me because I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up.
I think the whole process is supposed to be a bit messy, as I've been told. I'm not sure. As I said, I have never used it. I've never seen it. You should just give it a try.
Yeah, I guess so. I know now that we're kind of nearing the end of this session, and we when we were going to have Brianna on, one of the things we were going to be doing was that people who made donations to Extra Life in excess of $10 were going to be able to potentially win a prize. And I believe, Jorg, that you have some dice handy, and
I have a D20 if that works.
I'm told that you're gonna roll a dice and do something to determine who
Yes.
wins, and I presume that you know how it's gonna go. I'm just getting the information now, but I'm gonna give you
You
the
presume?
first name here for who to roll for, and you're gonna roll for Dan E. I'm withholding their last name
Okay.
just for privacy, and
Yes.
to see if they win.
So the higher the better. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just rolling the die. So I have it here. It's a D20.
I am told that you will roll after I tell you the name and make it 20 wins or anything over 10 wins, whatever that means.
Okay, that sounds interesting. We'll do it.
Roll higher than a 10 and they won.
Oh, I have to prove, I guess.
Well, I trust you. I
No,
guess
I
not
will.
everyone does, but I do.
No, it's a bit difficult. Let me. You have to trust me. I'll pick it up. Where are we?
I trust you.
I will pick it up. It's a 19, so it's pretty high, I guess. So I rolled a 19. Can you
So
see
the
that? The
Dan E,
19 was on top. So you have to trust me.
we trust you, Jorg. Dan E wins. And then next up, we have
Okay.
Chris R.
So I tried again. I do my best. That's a 10.
Okay, so going by what I'm told, anything over 10 wins. So I'm guessing that means the 10 does not win. So that's what we're going with.
Oh, I guess we have something smaller than for the 10. You just have to take notes that we know. Do you do that? So we know who won what or who
Well, we
rolled
have it
what?
here in the
Or
recording, and then we also
okay, that's
have
right. That's right.
we have a roll needed for Jamie. So if you could roll that as well.
Of course. That is a 19 again. I'm good at 19s.
Hey, I need you rolling for me when I play role playing games.
Yeah, probably I should.
That's a pretty looking dice, by the way. And then we have
Yeah,
one other person that I'm seeing. Could you do a roll as well for Steve P?
I will. Unfortunately, that is just a 5.
Okay, so it looks like we have two winners here. We have Dan E and Jamie winning with rolls of 19. And I'm told that your wife is taking notes for us, which is fantastic.
Very good.
So we have that. And then I want to thank you again for jumping in here. And I want to thank everyone for sticking around as we switch gears up and do all this. And I want to take a moment to remind everyone that the fun is not over here at Let's Roll. So right now, 6 p.m. is the hour. Petra Bender from Things on the Basement is talking with Timothy Colonna of Trilaterum Games. Then at 7 p.m., James Carpio is doing a role-playing game, The Osiris Agenda. I talked about this earlier, and it is a combination of the Lucky 13 and Top Secret New World Order rules put out by TSR. James helped write the new edition of the rules, so that's really cool. That's being live streamed. And then we have a couple games that are happening. Right now, check your six. I presume you've signed up, but that's a thing that's happening. 8 p.m. on Zoom. Cuba Death, I believe, still has a couple spaces left. I'm playing in that. Mike Kafis is running it, and my buddy Peter Bryant designed the game. And then Adam Carrier on Skype is doing a game of Black Seas at 8 p.m. as well. And then, of course, you can buy merch from the convention here. We have T-shirts and all sorts of stuff that you can get. And I did at the start of this about all the vendors. You're doing 20% off. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So that's today only until 10 p.m. Eastern, right?
Midnight.
Midnight Eastern
the
today.
whole day. So, yes.
And then just because your wife was the one to break this news, Foreground is doing 20% off today, right?
Yes, and I think he said, or he mentioned that it's valid the whole week or something like that. So if you you should be able to do it tomorrow or at the beginning of the week at least as well. So they are doing 20%. Yes.
And do you know,
We
is
had
there a
some-
code
yes.
people need to use for that?
That's a good question. I think if there's a code, it should be on the Let's Roll Con website.
Okay, I have not seen it yet,
I'm not
but
sure about that, to be honest.
It'll probably show up at some point. And then just for everyone, just a reminder that this event and all the other events that we've done where possible, they've been recorded. They'll be made available on letsrollcon.com. And all the ones that I've hosted here today are available on the Wargaming Recon Facebook page and the Wargaming Recon YouTube channel, so you can get at those and see all those at your viewing pleasure. Because maybe you've been playing games today, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. And now I get a break because I get to go eat some dinner and put the kids to bed and then come back for my 8 o'clock game. Thank you so much, York. This has been a blast.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you very much, Jonathan. Enjoy dinner. Give a hug to your kids.